This week, it is about Appalachian Outlaws. We're talking about moonshining, a illegal activity that's fun to do. And we found some of the best outlaws from Appalachia to talk about. Most of them are moonshiners, but I got to tell you, the last one is fucking incredible.
I'm so excited to hear.
Let's start with number one. This is Maggie Bailey, a bootlegger from Harlan County, Kentucky.
Good place to start with outlaws.
Yeah, a lot of outlaws in Harlan, Kentucky. I'm sure we've got some listening to this show right now. And if you are making some moonshine while listening to this, thank you. And please feel free to send some. We got a P.O. box we're going to have pretty soon. I think you can probably make it happen there. Maggie Bailey started selling moonshine when she was the ripe old age of 17. I love that. Kept selling it into her 90s.
That's awesome.
I love it. She was well-liked, well-respected, and she often helped poor Harlan Countyans buying coal to heat their homes in the winter and giving them grocery money so they would not go hungry. She's like an OG mutual aid. She's like EKY mutual aid, but moonshine.
Yeah, she's Maggie Robin Hood.
She put several children through college, too, which, I mean, look. That's money well spent. Moonshine money, helping the people. I love it. She even supplied moonshine to the governor at the time. Governor Albert B. Happy Chandler was among the many politicians who paid Miss Bailey a visit while campaigning. During one of his campaigns for governor, he told her, quote, "Mag, if you can help me get elected, I'm going to buy you some shoes." And she said, sure enough, when he got elected, he sent his lieutenant governor there and bought her some shoes. So there you go.
That's power. That is power.
That's power, and that's delivering on a promise. That's right.
Yeah.
Honest politician
Governor
right there.
Happy.
Governor Happy. Well, he's probably happy because he's drinking so much moonshine.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how he got his name.
Be?
I certainly would be over the fucking moon if I had some. So I love this because she sold moonshine for the better part of 73 years, and she only served time in prison once despite being arrested over 37 times.
37 times?
37. She was imprisoned at a federal reformatory for women in Alderson, West Virginia, which I believe is where Martha Stewart spent her time.
That is correct.
There you go. So fame and fortune there. From May 1941 to May 1943 for selling moonshine, the federal indictment said she had 150 half gallons of moonshine on hand at the time she was charged.
This woman is a hero. She's a legend.
Absolutely.
So she was operating in like the 40s. So when did she die?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't have that readily available. I think it was not that long ago, but I could be wrong.
That is amazing that she got arrested 37 times and only served 2 years. That's pretty wild.
I think 2005, because NPR did an interview with her attorney.
That's awesome. I love Maggie Bailey.
I do too. She's
good old Kentuckian.
She's great. She's not even the best woman on this list, in my opinion.
I love that we have more than one woman on this list of 4 people.
Oh.
It's great.
But before that, we got number 3. This is Junior Johnson, NASCAR moonshiner from Wilkes County, North Carolina.
Oh, we know this one.
You do? Great. Because I'm not well versed in NASCAR, so I did not know all of this sordid history until I went into this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a NASCAR fan, but I feel like if you're from North Carolina, you know Junior Johnson.
Junior is a NASCAR Hall of Famer whose first talent was moonshining, and some even credit him and moonshining with the birth of NASCAR, which I did not know. He won 50 NASCAR races, so that's pretty fucking impressive. So, and this is a sidebar because I found this really interesting. Stock car racing had its roots in Appalachia, where producing and selling homemade whiskey, aka moonshine, offered liquid salvation for family farms seeking to escape crippling poverty, especially during the Great Depression, which hit the region particularly hard. Those were hard times back in the hills, and you did things you couldn't get by doing. Those were hard times back in the hills, and you did things you shouldn't just to get by, said NASCAR Hall of Famer Curtis Turner, who began bootlegging at the age of 9. I found that very interesting, and the whole, driving really fast racing cars type deal was very much, part of the origins of NASCAR, I guess. I mean, I'm sure people listening to this knew more than I did.
Yeah,
Wild.
absolutely. I think that you're spot on there that NASCAR was it originated with bootlegging, and it's like that's the history and legend, and kind of what makes it still fun is that it's not just race cars. It's got this sordid history too.
I fucking love it. And we'll probably end up doing an episode on it at some point.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
His father was a lifelong bootlegger who spent nearly 20 of his 63 years in prison. So
not as good as Maggie Bailey.
Life. Nah, she couldn't get out. And their house was frequently raided by revenue agents. Junior was arrested and spent 1 year in prison in Ohio in the 50s for having an illegal still, although he was never caught, and as many years for actually transporting bootlegged liquor.
That's pretty impressive. Never caught.
And fun fact, he was pardoned by President Reagan in 1986 for that conviction.
Wow, one of the few good things Reagan ever did.
Was just thinking the same thing. Didn't do many good things. Really fucked things up with AIDS, but at least he pardoned Junior Johnson, so...
Not equitable. But
no, absolutely not equitable whatsoever. Don't misconstrue that. So, thank you. Good save. Famously said that moonshining was part of my growing up, but it was also part of my training in auto racing. Being in that business, you had to have a very fast car. You had to be able to outrun the revenuers or highway patrol officers or sheriffs or whoever tried to pursue you and try to apprehend you. So honestly, if you have a dream of being a NASCAR driver, start making hooch.
Yeah. Why aren't there more modern movies about moonshining? Like,
Great
this seems
question.
like such a fun idea for like a Fast and Furious type movie, but set as moonshining. Like, how incredible would that be if you had? Well, yeah, you could have Vin Diesel, you could have The Rock, or you could just have like I would love to see Timothy Chalamet do some bootlegging.
Oh my God. Yeah, we'll see. Harry Styles and they're driving the General Lee. Yeah.
I will watch anything that Harry Styles is in. Anything. All right. So this one is my contribution to this list. Number 2 is Popcorn Sutton. He was a moonshiner from Western North Carolina. And he was alive from 1946 to 2009. So he was around for a while. You have probably seen his likeness. He is kind of everywhere. I feel like he is a legend in Appalachia. So he was a moonshiner and a bootlegger, born in Maggie Valley, North Carolina, which is in Haywood County. And he grew up there, he lived there, and he died in the rural areas around Maggie Valley and nearby in Cott County, Tennessee, because Haywood County is right on the border of Tennessee. So he had a long career making moonshine and bootlegging, and he considered it a legitimate part of his heritage. He was Scots-Irish and descended from a long line of moonshiners. Yes. In the 60s and 70s, he was given the nickname Popcorn. This one is a new thing. I actually didn't know this until I did this research. He was given the nickname Popcorn after he had a frustrated attack on a bar's faulty popcorn machine with a pool cue. That's just...
Wow. That is the most country-ass thing I have ever heard in my life.
I want my damn popcorn. I love it.
I hope that they fucking gave it to him.
That's the most beautiful way to get a nickname. I love it. So
it's such an innocent-sounding nickname, too, for such a violent act.
Right. So he kind of was not like famous until his 60s. He'd been in trouble several times, but had avoided prison sentences. He was convicted in 74 of selling untaxed liquor, and in 81 and 85 on charges of possessing controlled substances and assault with a deadly weapon. Wonder if that was a pool cue. But received only probation sentences until the 85 arrest, and he served some time in Asheville. So he had a roadside store. This is legitimate. He had a roadside moonshine. So he did not give a fuck about the police. But in 98, it was searched by state agents who seized a moonshine still and 60 gallons of moonshine, and he was placed on probation. So this is where it gets really juicy. In March 2008, Sutton told an undercover federal officer that he had 500 gallons of moonshine in Tennessee and another 400 gallons in Maggie Valley that he was ready to sell. This led to a raid of his property by the ATF, led by Jim Kavanaugh, who you may remember from Waco.
Oh,
literally
Jesus.
the same guy from the Waco siege.
Those are not, for those of you not familiar with Waco, Google it. That's not a good credential.
No, it's real bad.
Government really fucked that one up.
Yeah. So in 2009, Popcorn, who had used a public defender as his attorney in the case, pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 18 months in federal prison. But this man was not going to prison. Let me tell you. So it's kind of sad, and his legacy is really mixed, but he died by suicide, carbon monoxide poisoning on March 16, 2009, because he did not want to go to prison. His wife, Pam, who he married about 2 years before his death, returned home from running errands and discovered her husband in his green Ford Fairmont, which was still running, at the rear of their property in Parrotsville, Tennessee. She said he called it his 3-jar car because he gave 3 jugs of liquor for it, which is amazing.
Good for him.
His daughter said that he had told her in advance that he would die by suicide rather than going to jail, adding that he had, quote, the strength to die the way he lived according to his own wishes and no one else's. So he's got a checkered memory, but this man was an outlaw if there ever was one.
I love this guy. It's so sad to hear about the suicide. Don't blame him for not wanting to go to prison, but not the way to do it. But what a legend. I mean, first of all, Popcorn doesn't do it justice for clocking somebody with a pool cue.
Right.
Really has cemented his reputation as a moonshiner extraordinaire. And honestly, if Western North Carolina hasn't erected a statue in this man's honor, then what are they doing with their time?
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, this is the best example of, like, we need a movie about this. We need a movie about this man's life. Like, this is premium television.
If they're making a movie about Cocaine Bear,
right,
then they can make a movie about Popcorn Sutton.
That's all I'm saying.
I agree with you, and actually, that's a great transition to our number 1 on this list, because this person, I believe, had a movie made about them.
Ooh.
I think.
All right, let's dive in.
Callie, this person, who is still alive, I think they're like 92. Oh. I want them to be my grandma.
Wow, okay.
I don't think that I don't deserve this person as my grandma, but I want them to be. Doris Payne, the Ice Queen, is what they call her, because she is a accomplished jewel thief from Slab Fork, West Virginia.
Hot damn, we have a jewel thief?
We do. Now, she currently lives in Atlanta, I believe, but she is from Slab Fork. Doris is a convicted jewel thief whose crimes spanned 6 decades and notably stole a 10-carat diamond ring worth $500,000 from Monte Carlo in the 1970s. And I'll get into that here in a second. She
pulled a Casino Royale?
This motherfucker did it by herself. She was Ocean's 1.
She did not need the rest of the oceans.
No. She needed 1 OG. Honest to God, like, this person, I have no problem with this at all. I just want to be clear. Like, whoever had this diamond probably was rich to begin with. First of all, she has had more than 20 arrests in countries around the world, including Greece, France, England, Switzerland, probably one of the most.
Oh my God, you have to be doing something bad for the Swiss to,
right?
to arrest you.
Being West Virginian is illegal in certain parts of Switzerland. I've heard, I've heard that to be true. She's used 22 aliases at least, and probably has gotten away with more than she's been caught with. Her first heist occurred in Appalachia. She boarded a bus to Pittsburgh, stole a diamond, fenced it, which means sold it illegally, and gave the money to her mother to get out of town and away from her father, because I think it was a troubled marriage. I think there's some domestic violence there. So there's some like good things that came from that. I would say, hell yeah, steal that diamond, sell it, give it the money to your mom. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Good cause. It's a good cause.
Absolutely. Okay, so in Monte Carlo, fancy people live there, I think.
Yeah.
That's the important takeaway. So in a fancy person place known as Monte Carlo also was the name of the Chevrolet model car that Dale Earnhardt, rest in peace, drove. She stole a massive diamond, and it was too big. This piece was way too significant, too hot of an item. And when she arrived at the airport, like, this is a $500,000 10-carat diamond. When she arrived at the airport, police were there waiting for her. This is where it gets fucking nuts. While in custody, apparently this was mounted on a ring. While in custody, she managed to pry the stone, the diamond, from its setting, through the ring, out her window, into the Mediterranean, and sewed the diamond into her girdle.
What?
Eventually, she escaped the clutches of law enforcement, fled to New York, and sold it for $148,000.
Oh my God.
Unfucking believable.
That is just brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, who else has a better story than that? And first of all, like, I don't know who she stole this diamond from, but I'm willing to bet that they could probably afford to lose it.
Yeah.
So good on her. I mean, seriously.
This is wild.
She was also a master, like liar. I don't know how else to say it. She was arrested in 2017 for stealing from a Walmart, a little bit less prestigious than Monte Carlo.
Yeah. See how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, and when asked about it from a reporter, she said, Walmart? No, I've never been to a Walmart, and I've never stolen jewelry.
Oh my God.
And then my favorite part of the interview was the reporter asked her, do you have any regrets? And Doris said, well, I didn't kill nobody or rob nobody. And then the reporter was like, well, you did kind of rob people. And Doris said, I didn't rob them. They gave it to me.
Beautiful. I love
Fuck
Doris.
yeah.
The fact that Monte Carlo and Walmart are on this list. She is an equal opportunity thief.
Fuch yeah.
Which is absolutely hysterical. Like, and she's not robbing from like some poor folks. You know, this is Walmart, a corporation that can handle some theft. And this is like somebody who lives in Monte Carlo, this is just brilliant.